Well, hello folks. We finally finished this old project we've been working on for almost a year now. I know some of you have been following along ever since we did the old F100 project, and if you'll remember back when we were finishing that up, I told you we were going to do another one, although I didn't tell you what it was, and this is what it turned out to be. And pretty pleased with the way it turned out. Let me go ahead and give you a little walk around on this thing. Let me get this hood up here. I'll tell you what, why don't we start out front, Peggy? If you can go out there in front, I'll show you one modification we did on this car. We put electric headlights on it. I think that's a pretty good modification. It gets rid of about 2 miles of vacuum lines and gets rid of a bunch of servos and other plumbing, and I think that's a pretty good idea. I'll just put them on here right quick. I think that's a pretty good modification. It doesn't cost much either to do it. It's a good deal. Come on up here and let's take a look at the engine. It's no Chevy 350. You can see we've made quite a few modifications in this engine compartment. You can see over here we got rid of all the shrouds and the engine driven fan, put some electric fans in here. This engine itself and the transmission are all completely overhauled. Everything's been internally on the engine. All internal clearances are put back to brand new specification. Stage 1 cam. This time I used a Edelbrock induction. I never used all that before. I may have had an Edelbrock intake before, but I used Edelbrock 4-barrel on this, and I'm pretty pleased with it. I've always used Hollies in the past, and it runs real well with this Edelbrock carburetor, and they're a little bit cheaper than the Hollies, and so I might use those on the next one too. If you look over on the other side of the engine compartment, one thing I want to show you that opened up a lot of real estate under here was this area right here. If you're familiar with Corvettes, you know this area here is all filled with the blower and the evaporator unit on these air-conditioned cars. And one of the modifications we did of this was put the vintage air system in it. And it's all enclosed under the dash. It still looks the same inside, but it opened up a lot of extra room under this engine compartment just to get that out of there. I think that's a pretty good modification to these cars. If you, it's not an easy install, don't get me wrong. It's probably not for the faint of heart, but I think it's a good modification. I also put a fan up here in front of the condenser unit, another electric fan pushing, and I think that's probably also a pretty good modification. It makes the air conditioner work better. This vintage air puts out a lot of cold air anyway. It's good though. We've tried it. Putting that pusher fan out in front caused a little bit of an issue with this hood. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's not open quite as far as it would normally be. It caused me to have to make a little bit of a modification over there on the hood support. But you know, that's just Corvettes for you. Everything you do to them, you're going to have to modify something, unless you're putting something, just a factory part back on it. And let me go around here and look at the interior. Oh, by the way, I didn't even mention, we got hooker headers on this. I don't know if you can see them or not, but if you can kind of look down in here, Peggy, you can probably see those hookers down in there. They might show better from the other side. And got those flowing out into side pipes. And we got full flow glass packs in these. They sound pretty good. They're not annoyingly loud in the car. We did a lot to this interior, and one of the things we did while it was all stripped out of here, before anything went back in it, even when I had the wiring out of it, is we lined this whole interior with sound deadening material and insulating material, and then the wiring went back in, then the carpet, and so it's pretty quiet in this thing actually, even with these glass packs and the exhaust coming right here right beside your ear. It's really not annoyingly loud at all. And we tried to keep the traditional look to everything in here, but there's been quite a few upgrades to this interior. This panel up here, as you can see, it looks like the old analog gauges, but this is not. These are all digital computer controlled gauges that are fully programmable. Everything is, and the computer that runs all this, I've got it mounted underneath the driver's seat, and there's a little recess under there in the floorboard, and the computer fit real nicely in there. All the sending units from front and back all come to this point here under the driver's seat, and the only connection between the computer itself and the instrument panel is two Cat 5 cables. There's a Cat 5 cable runs along here up to this speedometer and tachometer, and there's one more that goes to the center cluster over there. The radio itself is looks traditional. It's a Bluetooth radio though, so you can do some modern upgrades and still keep the traditional look if you really want to. Let's see. Let me walk on around to the other side and we'll take a look at that side of the engine. Actually, one other thing I wanted to mention about this vintage air system, even though it looks the same in there, stay right there, you get rid of all that vacuum control stuff in your climate control with that. All of the doors that operate this climate control, there's 3 of them actually, they all use stepper motors now, and there's a adapter that they make that goes onto the that replaces all those vacuum controls off your controls here, and so this is all now controlled with stepper motors, and get rid of all that vacuum stuff that and the potential problems with leakage on that stuff. So I think that's a pretty good system. Probably not much more to say about this side of the engine. I don't know, just kind of you can see down in there, everything's good. This was, of course, a frame-off restoration. Everything on the car has been restored to new condition, or sometimes maybe even better than new. And so I guess that's it. That's all I really wanted to show you. If you got any questions about anything, we'll just make a comment or send me a message. And don't know what the next project's going to be, but I'm sure there'll be another one. And so keep track of us, and you'll probably find out about the same time we do. I guess we'll talk to y'all later.